Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about the new Hunter that's coming to the game in a couple of days. If you follow the story and the anime, you already know who it is. It's one of the most anticipated Hunters coming to the game because it's one of the most prevalent characters in the story and the main story. And it's of course the president of the association, Go Gun-hee. Even though it's not a playable character yet, we can see his kit if we go into the icon in the new event. So how about we check what he does and what the best way to build him will probably be. Here we have Go Gun-hee, is the next hunter coming to the game. You can already get his weapon if you do the new event for the new hunter and Semi. You can choose between her weapon or Go Gun-hee's weapon. So let's see what Go Gun-hee actually does and how good is he going to be. First, let's see, he scales off defense. There hasn't been a defense scaling character in a long time, but it makes sense considering the one that works for him also scales off defense. It made sense he was a defense scaling unit. His light elemental damage, which makes sense if you know the story in the future. If you read the novel or the manga, you'll know why he's a light element. It was the most likely outcome. If you haven't, you'll eventually see why he's a light element character. But he also deals weak break damage when he attacks, so it seems like he's going to be a breaker. There hasn't been a light breaker in a long time. The only light element breaker we have is Baekhyun Yunho, I believe, the standard banner unit that's in the game since the beginning. So there's a new light break unit, which is nice. Then we have his core attack, respectable damage, scales of defense, like we saw. Also deals weak break damage, and it inflicts the airborne effect, and finally it lands, it knocks down the target. Now we have Fighting Spirit, respectable damage as well, cooldown 8 seconds, deals light damage, and also deals weak break damage. So far it deals weak break in all his abilities, but every single ability deals break damage. And when the skill hits, it inflicts the airborne effect, which is good for Sung Jin-ho, but for hunters not that much of a big deal. It's just a bit of CC, so you can keep attacking without caring too much about your opponents. Then we have his second skill, Power of Brilliant Light. A bigger damage number in the skill. So far the one that deals most damage in his entire kit is the second skill. Deals light elemental damage and also weak break damage. Again, just weak break, but all his skills, even his attacks, break. So even though it's not that much, it can stack up fast if he's a fast unit, and his cooldowns are relatively low, 12 seconds, 8 seconds, not much. They will go by fast, but just when we can test him, we'll see how good this break is. And when the final it lands, it inflicts airborne effect. Most units also inflict. First special skill, the support skill. When you're playing as Sung Jin-ho, it deals a bit of damage, light elemental damage, but as a support it deals medium break damage. Makes sense, it's the only ability he does when he's helping Sung Jin-ho, so it makes sense it's more break damage than his entire kit, since he can break faster with every single ability dealing break than just helping Sung Jin-ho. With just helping Sung Jin-ho, dealing medium break damage is fine, and it can help you squeeze out the break bar as fast as possible, so you can start dealing significant damage. But apart from that, when users use this skill, it applies the Aura of Brilliance light effect, and the effect is increase users' defense by 10%. For Sung Jin-ho, it's not that important. You don't scale off defense, so the increased defense is a bit useless. So I don't know why they will do that, but at least it's a bit of protection. You become slightly tankier, but not really that much important. Then they give a shield equal to 10% of Sung Jin-ho's defense, and now the defense scaling matters. The 10% that you receive will help you get a bigger shield, but again, if you want a healer or a shielder as a support, there's better options. And users light damage increased by 10%. Now that's a different story. Now we have a light damage increase on the support skill, so you can use light weapons and light skills, and you have increased damage from Go Gun-hee support skill. Now his tag in skill, not that much damage as the other abilities, but it's just a tag in skill. Deals medium break damage, so it's important to it since it's the one that deals the most break damage so far. It's apart from special skill, but it doesn't matter as a hunter, it just matters when you're Sung Jin Ho. And it knocks down the target and inflicts airborne, just a bit of CC. Now his ultimate, the bread and butter, deals decent damage, a really good amount of damage. Of course it's an ultimate, it should be a ton of damage, and it deals light elemental damage. No special skills on the kit. His kit is fairly simple, break and deal damage, no special effects or anything inside the kit. Let's see what his passive does. So the Broken Vessel effect applies when the user enters the stage. So when you enter as Gogun He or you tag into Gogun He, you get the Broken Vessel effect. When the user uses Clean Sweep or Fighting Spirit, which are his first basic skill and this intro skill, they apply the Ruler Zora effect. When the user uses Power of Brilliant Light, which is his second skill, it applies the Fragment of Brilliant Light effect. So the Broken Vessel effect decreases received HP recovery rate by 50%. So this is more of debuff than a buff. It decreases the recovery rate of HP by a bit, but it also means you can use a certain artifact set with him. But it's a bit weird having that. It's lore wise, it's accurate. If you don't really know the lore, then you'll eventually know more about him in the future, but he's getting older, and you can see the scars in his face even in the model. He can't recover and he's slowly dying. Well, everyone is slowly dying, but he's dying faster because of his story, and he can't recover, he can't be saved, so that's why he has the Broken Vessel, because he's a vessel basically, effect that reduces his recovery rate. It's lore accurate, but in a gameplay perspective it's not the best, but it also allows you to run an artifact specifically because of the fact that he can't recover HP. You don't go above the HP threshold. If the shields don't count, I'm not quite sure now. But since he can't recover HP, you have the Ruler Zora effect when you use his first basic skill or you enter the field. And it increases defense by 30%, which is a ton considering his skills of defense. And he gains a shield equal to 20% of his defense. So even though he can't recover HP, he's going to get massive shields just because of the fact that he can't be healed back. And it also gives him a ton of defense. And the next effect, when he uses the second basic skill, it activates the user's core attack one time. So when you use this skill, you get the heavy attack Abdominal Crush, and the damage increases by 30%. And Fighting Spirit, which is his first basic skill, becomes heavy attack, Fighting Spirit, and decreases the user's damage by 30%. So when you use his second basic skill, you get a strong core attack and a stronger version of your skill. So it seems his passive gives him an insane amount of buffs and one lore accurate debuff. So far his kit doesn't seem too complicated, just a ton of defense and crit rate, crit damage to deal damage, and just crush people with his skills, which seem to have a decently low cooldown. His ultimate seems to deal a decent amount of damage as well. And the fact that he gets a ton of buffs from his passive means he's going to deal good amount of damage. Seeing his kit, what kind of artifacts should we be expecting? For artifacts, I would say the best set will probably be the Burning Grid set, because it's a set made for break units. It increases the user's critical hit rate by 1%, stacking up to 10 times. When the grid effect stacks 10 times, it changes to Enhanced Grid, which is a 4-set effect. Increase the users and their team members' critical hit rate by 10 and critical hit damage by 15%. And if you have the 8-set effect, when attacking enemies that have elemental weakness, the break effect increases by 30%. So if you're fighting against a light weak enemy, you have 30% increased break effect. And instead of the 10 and 15%, you get 15% critical hit rate and 30% critical hit damage, which is the the best set for breakers because it increases their crit rate and crit damage, and also your team's crit rate and crit damage, which is overall a net positive since it increases everyone's crits. And apart from Shoy, you want crit rate and crit damage in every single unit, since this game requires you to kill the boss in time, and sometimes you don't have damage because you don't have that crit rate high enough, so you crit more. And with every crit rate buff you can get outside of the cap, which is at 50%, it's good. So the best set I would say is the Burning Grid set, because it doesn't care about the types. Apart from that, Burning Curse is also a good set. It doesn't care about the type of what you scale off. It increases your damage overall by 20% at 2 set, but if you have the 8 set effect, it increases your damage dealt by 30%. It also increases your damage taken, but since you're going to have a massive amount of defense, you should be tanky enough to survive, and you also get a massive shield when you switch to him, so you shouldn't be worried about dying. And the 20%, 25% HP or less recovery won't really be that much for him because he can't get the full effect. He will get 12.5% of their HP back instead of the 25, but it still can save his life if needed. Apart from the Workshop of Real Light sets, you have the usual suspects, the critical hit rate increase and critical damage increase of toughness set. It's the most generic set for any hunter that wants to deal damage. You want to crit in every single hunter except for Shoy, so if you're going for damage, this is one of the best options for any hunter that wants to deal damage. Not much to say about this. But then we have the new artifact set, which is the first set that actually helps defense scaling units. So apart from the toughness set, this is the only other set that can actually increase this damage overall, because it increases defense by 4% and the force set effect stacks 8 times, so it's an overall increase of 28% of your defense, which is the only thing it scales off. So it's the only set that increases your defense. So apart from Warmonger and toughness, you could either go one hit kill for the ultimate damage, but it doesn't seem like it's his best choice. Again, the break set from Workshop of Beyond Light will be better. Then followed that by the Burning Curse. Then followed by Toughness and Warmonger. These ones, like Destroyer and One Hit Kill, are just generically good sets that if you have better stats you can try them out. It's never a bad choice, but if you want to deal as much damage as possible with him, I would say the other options are better. For accessories, I would say the 8 set effect of Burning Grid is the best one. If you go for the 8 set effect, then you want the Burning Grid accessories. Apart from that, you will want the 8 set curse if you go for the curse set. So again, 8 set effect, you want the accessories for Burning Curse. But if you're not going for Workshop of Brilliant Light artifacts, then I would say he probably is one of the best hunters to use the Berserker set on, because he can't recover HP. So when you have 15% or less of your HP, you deal 15% more damage, but if you have below 70%, you'll increase to 30% more damage. It's probably the best set on him because you scale off defense and there's no defense scaling set. And you can't recover HP, so even though you get shields, you probably will never be above the 70% mark. So it's probably the best accessories for him. Apart from that, you can also use Executioner instead of your HP. Your enemy's HP are the important factor, but you usually always have the condition met, because you have to kill the boss to win, so you will eventually be below 70% HP and you will have 20% more damage, but the other set is more damage increase, and since you can't recover HP, you'll most likely always be below the 70% mark. Then you can also use the Outstanding Ability set. It increases your damage by 25% if you have 40% or more of your maximum MP. It should be always above 40%, and if you care about this set, you can also use Ansemi as a support, and you'll always be at 40% of your maximum MP. But again, it increases by 25%. The Skeleton set increases by 30%, so it's still more damage from that set. Then the last one would probably be Sylph's Blessing. It's only good if you go against light weak enemies, but if you go when you ult and you switch into him, you'll have 15% more damage against those types of enemies. Apart from that, I don't think there's any other artifact set that helps him, since he doesn't scale off attack. The best one, as again, is the Berserker set. It's the one that gives you the most damage dealt increase, and the condition to meet the condition, it's quite easy with him, so since he can recover HP. For stats, defense percent, obviously, light damage on the bracelet. I believe it's the bracelet that gives the elemental damage, and the boots critical hit damage, with substats being the usual suspects, with defense percent being the one you have to look out for with him instead of attack or HP percent. The rest will be critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and damage increase and the defense penetration stats. And yeah, that's probably how I will build my Gogunhe when I get him. The weapon, you should be able to get it already, so there's no point in talking about weapons, especially in this game. You can get all the weapons for free, so just use the weapon of the main weapon of the hunter. For teams, he's a breaker, so you probably run him in light weakness bosses that need break, and that's pretty much it. If you want a general breaker, there might be better, but if you like him, you can use him as your main breaker and bring him whenever you need the breaks. And that's really not much to talk about teams, since it's not really that difficult to build a team. It's 3 hunters, you see the elemental weakness, and just bring the hunters that match that weakness. Yeah, that's it for Gunhe. He seems like a really cool character with a simple kit, but how good it's going to be just needs to be seen. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.